fuck is up, internet? Welcome to the channel, and welcome to this episode of the creepiest place in your state. This is a series where I dig out the old book of scary shit and read haunting tales that send chills down the spines of the locals in every state. Gather, friends, and let me tell you a tale from the haunted heart of Alabama. A tale that echoes with the screams of lost souls and the clanging of ghostly hammers. Ting, ting, ting. This is the story of Sloss Furnace, a place once hailed as the world's largest manufacturer of pig iron, whatever pig iron is, and now whispered about in hushed tones because of its dark past. The Sloss furnaces roared to life in Birmingham in 1882, belching smoke and fire into the sky, and they stayed open until 1971. For nearly a century, it was a place of immense pride, but also immense suffering. The working conditions were hellish, but none were worse than during the reign of James Slag Wormwood, the graveyard shift foreman from 1900 to 1906. Wormwood was a tyrant, pushing his men to take terrible risks to meet impossible production quotas. We've all been there, right? Under his watch, 47 workers met gruesome ends, crushed, burned, and simply disappearing into the smelting vats. They say Wormwood himself met a fittingly brutal demise, falling into a vat of molten iron from atop the towering Big Alice furnace in October 1906. So he didn't retire. Eesh. Many believed he was pushed by a vengeful hand, though it was recorded as an accident. Of course it was. But death was not the end for Wormwood, nor many of his victims. After Wormwood's death, workers began to whisper about an unnatural presence haunting the furnaces. They felt unseen hands shoving them from behind and heard a disembodied voice hissing, "Get back to work." Fucking Wormwood. The Birmingham police have recorded over 100 reports of suspected paranormal activity at Sloss furnaces. 100 since the 1900s, but the early 1900s, or during the time it was open. I don't know. Left that one kind of open. The story of the furnaces began with Colonel James Sloss, one of Birmingham's founders, who envisioned a mighty ironworks to forge train tracks for his flourishing city. He was granted nearly 78,000 square miles of land to build his dream. Under the guidance of Harry Hargraves, a brilliant young engineer, 2 towering Whitwell furnaces rose, each 59 feet tall and 18 feet in diameter. Pretty wide. In the first year alone, these behemoths churned out 24,000 tons of high-quality iron. Sloss sold the furnaces in 1886, and new investors expanded them, adding a second Sloss furnace in 1927. And 48 tiny houses to shelter the mostly black workforce, many of them former slaves desperate for employment. The conditions were dire: suffocating heat, poor visibility, and 12-hour shifts for paltry pay. Probably still a little bit better than being a slave, though, am I right? Maybe? Slightly. Pretty rough back in those days, fuck. By the 1950s and 60s, concerns about pollution and public health forced the closure of the oldest furnaces. In 1971, the Sloss furnaces shut down for good and were donated to the state of Alabama. They became a museum and a venue for ironworking artists, concerts, festivals, and even weddings. But when night falls, the air grows thick with the echoes of the past. Get to work. Get to work. Wormwood. Imagine the workers in those furnaces enduring temperatures up to 120 degrees, barely able to see through the heat, shimmer, and smoke. The dangers were constant and the work pressure unbearable. Wormwood, nicknamed Scum by his men, made the inferno even worse. His reign saw 47 deaths, many horrific injuries, and an explosion in 1888 that blinded 6 men. Fuck. Wormwood's death was just one of the many. 3 more men fell into the molten iron. 2 died trying to clear a jammed machine, scalded by boiling steam. Carbon monoxide, the invisible killer, lurked everywhere. One of the most gruesome deaths happened when a worker got too close to a rotating gear while eating his lunch. Ooh, be cautious eating those sandwiches out there, folks. His clothes caught, and he was crushed before his comrades' eyes. Damn, imagine that. So if you ever visit the Sloss furnaces, beware. When the sun sets and shadows creep through the ironworks, you might feel a cold touch on your shoulder or hear a whisper urging you back to work. It's just the spirits of the past, forever trapped in their iron prison, reliving the horrors of the Sloss furnaces. If you're from around these parts, let me know what stories I missed in the comments. And if you're from the state, do you agree that this is the creepiest place around? If not, let me know what is, and I might do a part 2. Anyway, that's all I have for now. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.